Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here with me. I'm Chris Knopf, Executive Director of Friends of the Boundary Waters Wilderness, and it's my privilege this evening to give the program on Two Mines, One Threat, sulfide mining's threat to Minnesota. Before I begin here, I want to give a shout out to Midwest Mountaineering. The folks there are so knowledgeable and so helpful. Please go to the store and buy the outdoor gear that you need to have fun this winter. So a big shout out and plug for Midwest Mountaineering. This evening, my presentation will have three parts to it. First, I'll give background on Friends of the Boundary Waters Wilderness, what we're about as an organization and what our priorities are in our history. Second, I'll explain why sulfide mining is such a threat to Minnesota, what the environmental threat is from sulfide mining. And then third, I'll describe what Friends of the Boundary Waters Wilderness is doing to protect the boundary waters and Lake Superior and Minnesota from that threat of sulfide mining. So the starting point for understanding Friends of the Boundary Waters Wilderness is to look at our vision. And the vision of Friends of the Boundary Waters Wilderness is that the wilderness areas of the boundary waters that you're seeing on your screen right now, and that of the broader Quetico Superior ecosystem, ranging from the Quetico in Canada to the shores of Lake Superior, is permanently protected, and that people of all backgrounds have the opportunity to enjoy that wilderness through canoeing and other outdoor activities, and that those communities that are gateways to the boundary waters, Ely, Grand Marais, the Gunflint Trail, and the North Shore, support protecting the boundary waters, and that those communities are thriving and prosperous. So this vision integrates wilderness, people, and community, and like strands of the rope, they're interwoven together and they make each other stronger. So the wilderness strategy, which will be the focus of the presentation this evening, we advocate for the wilderness in three ways. Through lawsuits to protect the wilderness. Second, through legislation, both at the federal and state level to protect the wilderness. And then finally, through community action. And all of you out there that love the boundary waters here in Minnesota and across the country are part of our Citizen Action Network to advocate on behalf of the wilderness. And I'll get more into those three parts of our wilderness strategy later on here. Our second strategy, focusing on people, is that we believe that there should be no boundaries to the boundary waters. And we connect people of all backgrounds to the boundary waters through classroom education programs and now online programs for middle and high school students. And then finally, we also provide scholarships so that in particular students, high school students, can get out into the boundary waters and have an opportunity. And we are a believer and understand the need for diversity, equity, and inclusivity in the outdoors. And we want to be a part of advancing that. And then finally, our third strategy is to support thriving communities that are gateways to the boundary waters. And we understand that those communities and the wilderness itself have a shared fate, and that those communities must prosper in order for the wilderness to have a future in which it's protected. And so we believe in supporting rural broadband throughout the region. We believe in supporting the movement of state jobs to Ely and other communities up there to provide employment opportunities so that the people of that region are not dependent upon extractive industries such as the potential for a copper-sulfide mine. So I'll give you, orient you, for those of you that may not have been to the Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness. It is 1.1 million acres. That is a wilderness designation that's part of the Superior National Forest. So it's part of that federal land, that Superior National Forest. And it's in particular a part of that that's designated for wilderness. And what wilderness means, it means no motors, it means a roadless area, it means a heightened experience where people can immerse themselves in the outdoors without that sort of encroachment of civilization. And you can see it's about 4.5 hours, 4 hours, depending upon how fast you drive from the Twin Cities to the boundary waters on the Ely side, a bit longer on the Gunflint side that you enter through Grand Marais. And here are some scenes of the boundary waters. Yeah, it's the finest canoe country in the world. Here you can see summer scenes and scenes from the winter here. The lakes are now freezing over, and a friend of mine was out paddling as some small lakes started to freeze up around him. And more spectacular scenes of where people come together and create community in the outdoors here. So Friends of the Boundary Waters Wilderness, we were created in 1976. So we were created to lead the fight for the establishment of the Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness. So we were established to fight for that designation. That happened 2 years later in 1976 when President Carter signed the federal legislation that protected that 1.1 million acres within the Superior National Forest. And this debate between jobs and protecting the environment, this polarity, has existed for a long time. It existed when the wilderness designation was created, and throughout the ensuing decades, we've led the fight to protect the wilderness from threats that have existed over the 4 decades since it was created. We've stopped destructive timber harvest that threatened the edge of the wilderness area. We've worked to stop in the early 1980s acid rain that threatened to impact the health of the forest. We've worked on things such as trying to stop the cell tower along the Fernberg Trail. For those of you that have been along the Fernberg Trail east of Ely, where you can see that cell tower that impacts the view shed of the boundary waters, we spent a lot of time and money trying to defeat that cell tower. Unfortunately, a court overturned our lower court victory, and then the cell tower was defeated. But we have been a wilderness warrior, an advocate for protecting the wilderness for 40 years, and we're proud to have that mantle as being a leader in protecting the wilderness. So today we're at the forefront with many other partners to stop sulfide mining that threatens the boundary waters and the broader Coetical Superior ecosystem, including Lake Superior. And there are 2 mines that present a single threat to the wilderness. And these 2 mines are Twin Metals and PolyMet. And these maps show you where they're located. You can see Twin Metals is a little further to the northeast, and it's right on the edge of the wilderness designation, and it's closer to Ely. PolyMet is a little further to the southwest. They're about 12 miles apart. And these are much different mines than have been done traditionally in Minnesota. These are not iron mines, they're not taconite mines. These are mines for copper and nickel, and it's a much different type of rock formation and a much greater threat to water quality in the environment in northeast Minnesota. But it's important to realize that there are these two mines, not just one mine, but 2 mines, PolyMet and Twin Metals, and they're inextricably linked. This map has a zoom in on the proposed Twin Metals site, and you can see where this is for those of you that are familiar with Ely. This is about 10 miles south of Ely, along the South Cowish River and Birch Lake. And that red spot on the map there, that shows where that proposed mining area is. And the extended red tail that extends from that red blot are the sort of energy power lines and the like that would be used to service the mine. And this flows north through White Iron Lake, up through Fall Lake into Basswood, and then along the U.S.-Canadian border to into Canada. And so, okay, so why is this copper nickel mining so much different? And the reason is that when you expose this rock to air and water, you get sulfuric acid. So the sulfide in the mine combines to form sulfuric acid, battery acid. By contrast, taconite mining, when that's exposed to air and water, you get rust. But with copper nickel mining, it's much, much different. You get the sulfuric acid runoff. So that is the sort of challenge out there with this different type of mining that has never been done in Minnesota. So this is not your father's or grandfather's or great grandfather's mining. It's entirely different and an exponentially greater threat. And it's also important to understand that what the rock formation is. It is not the rock formation that you're seeing on the left there, that native copper where you have a concentrated vein of copper. Rather, it's what you see on the right side where the copper is disseminated within the rock formation itself. And the amount of copper and nickel in the rock formation is very, very small. It's not 50% of the rock formation. It's not 25%. It's not 10%. It's not even 1%. It's about 0.4%. So what that means is that when you try to get at this copper and this nickel that's part of this rock formation, you get over 99.5% waste. So you get an enormous amount of waste as part of this process here. And I'm going to show you where the sites are. I showed you on the map there where the Twin Metals site is, but you really don't get that sort of really emotional content of it. And this is a picture that I took along along Birch Lake here, and the proposed Twin Metals mine would be located just past those trees that you see there. Less than just a matter of hundreds of yards away. So this would be very, very close to this water, and it's a beautiful, beautiful location here. And PolyMet, is located also in a really interesting geographic area here. And here you can see the beautiful sort of meandering stream here that would be part of the PolyMet site. And the PolyMet site has over 1,000 acres of wetlands that would be destroyed if this mine were built. It would be the largest permitted destruction of wetlands in the history of Minnesota. And and these peat bogs that would be destroyed are an important carbon sink. So if this mine were to, in fact, to go forward, in addition to having the acid mine drainage that I talked about here, you'd have an enormous climate change impact by the release of the carbon that's now locked up in the peat bogs that would be destroyed by building PolyMet. So again, 2 mines, 1 threat, Twin Metals and PolyMet, and that's a look at those sites there. And downstream from PolyMet is the Fond du Lac Reservation, and so there's an important environmental justice issue associated with going forward with PolyMet. The wild rice beds that you see here on the screen here have important economic and cultural importance for the Fond du Lac band here. And sulfide in the water kills the wild rice there. It also releases mercury that's locked up as well. So what you'd have here is this environmental justice problem here with PolyMet that would have a direct impact to the Fond du Lac band of Lake Superior, Chippewa. And both companies, Twin Metals and PolyMet, have corrupt ownership. Twin Metals is owned by Antofagasta, a big Chilean conglomerate that has a terrible track record in its home country and around the world. Shortly after President Trump was elected 4 years ago, the family that owns Antofagasta, the Luxic family, bought a mansion in Washington, D.C., and then shortly rented it out to Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump. So Antofagasta attempted to ingratiate itself with the Trump family immediately, and Antofagasta began lobbying the Trump administration right away 4 years ago. We're fortunate that President Trump has been defeated and we have a change in administration. PolyMet also has a corrupt ownership. It's owned by Glencore. Glencore was founded by Mark Rich, the gentleman that you see there smoking the cigar. Mark Rich was a notorious businessman that dealt with apartheid South Africa, dealt with the Ayatollah in Iran, and it fled the United States as a fugitive from justice. And it is his sort of ethic that continues on with Glencore. Glencore is now under investigation by our Department of Justice at the United States, and as well as in Canada and the United Kingdom. And it has global violations, including in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where it is violating human rights and leading to environmental degradation for mining operations there. So these are the operators that we're looking at here. In addition to being a very problematic a type of mining that results in this acid mine drainage, we have this sort of these corrupt owners that we would be placing our fate in, both our communities and our environment's fate in. And to give you a sense of some of the challenges that we have here, so the PolyMet has been much further down in the regulatory process. And so right now we have several lawsuits challenging PolyMet in state court and federal court. And we were with our partners. We've been in state court with the Minnesota Center for Environmental Advocacy, Water Legacy, and the Fond du Lac Band of Lake Superior Chippewa. We really value that partnership. And one of the permits we have been challenging is the wastewater permit for PolyMet. PolyMet would discharge contaminants into the water system for literally hundreds of years, and during the permitting process, the public notice process, there was a scientist at the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency at the regional office in Chicago that had prepared a letter that outlined over 24 violations of the Clean Water Act. And this was during the public comment period for PolyMet. This is in the winter and spring of 2018. And this scientist wanted to send that letter to our regulators here in Minnesota at the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. But our regulators that are charged with safeguarding our environment said, no, do not send that letter in. And he didn't. Then our regulators here at the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency said that because they did not want organizations such as Friends of the Boundary Waters Wilderness to know that the federal regulators were very concerned about the violations of the Clean Water Act that PolyMet would create. And so they said they stopped the scientist from doing that, but the scientist was very, very persistent. And instead he ended up reading the letter as these notes show in here, and you can see that the EPA scientist said this information underlined in this document in this letter was conveyed verbally to MPCA, that's the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, on April 5th, 2018. This was read word for word. And so that is how our state regulators that are safeguarded, that are charged with safeguarding our water resources, we're trying to keep all of us, the Friends of the Boundary Waters Wilderness, and all of you in the dark here. So if you hear people say that, oh gosh, we have the greatest laws and rules to protect all of you, to protect your health and our environment, do not believe it. And this is just a one example of showing the challenges that we faced in stopping PolyMet here. And PolyMet also has a huge risk to Minnesota taxpayers. And so PolyMet is expected to operate for over 20 years. And about halfway during the operation of that mine here, you can see on this chart that the threat, the financial threat to Minnesota taxpayers is over $1 billion. It's $1.039 billion. And at that time of the gap between, there's a gap between that cleanup cost and the actual cash that's out there. The green shows the amount of cash that PolyMet would put aside for the cleanup. And you can see that there's over $1 billion at that 11-year mark where Minnesota taxpayers would be on the hook. And so this just shows you that in addition to the environmental risks, in addition to having corrupt owners, that Minnesota taxpayers would be hung out to dry by PolyMet specifically here. And how PolyMet is designed is that it would create a toxic lake over 900 acres of toxic sulfuric acid, and it would be held back by an earthen dam made from the tailings from the waste mining process here. And that tailings dam would be built over time and would be nearly as tall as the Statue of Liberty. And there was a mine in Brazil that used the same type of dam construction. And here's what happened to that dam in 2019 here. I'll show you a video of what happened. And so we're continuing to fight. So you can see that's a very dramatic video there that shows how these types of dams can literally liquefy the earth, and the soil itself liquefies and can literally in a matter of seconds be destroyed here. We're also for twin metals, we have 2 lawsuits in federal court right now, and so there we are challenging the mineral leases that had been issued to twin metals that expired. Excuse me, the mineral leases that were issued to twin metals had expired and then were reissued, were reinstated illegally by the Trump administration after Antofagasta put pressure on the Trump administration. And that is now in Washington, D.C., before the D.C. Court of Appeals. We also have a second lawsuit in federal court in Washington, D.C. that challenges the extension of that of the leases for twin metals. Our language doesn't help us here. So the first one challenges the illegal reinstatement of those leases, and then those leases that were illegally reinstated were then renewed into the future. And so we have those two main lawsuits challenging twin metals in federal court there. We're also active at the legislative level to stop sulfide mining, and there are two initiatives to do that. First, at the federal level, Congresswoman Betty McCollum of St. Paul has introduced a bill, HR 5598. And what this bill would do is it would withdraw non-ferrous mining leases, that is copper-sulfide mining leases, from 237,000 acres that's adjacent to the boundary waters. And that legislation, if successful, would stop twin metals. It would not address PolyMet, but it would stop twin metals. And obviously there are challenges with if the Republicans continue to control the Senate. But Betty McCollum is a true champion for the wilderness, and her bill is the best vehicle at the federal level to protect the boundary waters. At the state level, we're very excited to say that we have a number of legislative supporters for a new law that would be called Prove It First. And so at the Minnesota legislature, what the Prove It First law would do is this. It would require an applicant for a copper sulfide mine, such as PolyMet or twin metals, to show that they have to prove that it's been done safely elsewhere in the United States for at least 10 years without causing pollution, and that a similar type of mine like that has been closed for 10 years without causing for at least 10 years without causing pollution. And so this type of mining has not been done safely in the United States. And by having a Prove It First bill, by asking the very common sense question, well, if it's so safe, prove it to us that it's been done safely. And if you can't do that, then that we should not use Minnesota as a guinea pig, that we should not use the precious waters of our boundary waters or our Great Lake here in Minnesota, Lake Superior, as a guinea pig. So a Prove It First bill would really provide that protection of stopping both twin metals and both PolyMet. So we are very excited, and we're working right now to have that introduced at the Minnesota legislature in the new year in 2021 here. And we were very active in supporting candidates for office that were pro-Boundary Waters candidates. We have an affiliate, a political arm called Friends of the Boundary Waters Action Network. And so this past political year, we endorsed over 50 candidates that were pro-Boundary Waters candidates, and we asked them to be against twin metals, to be against PolyMet, and to support the Prove It First bill. And over 37 of those candidates were elected to office, and 8 of our top 10 candidates were elected. And so we're not giving just trophies to candidates. For participating, we wanted candidates that were true pro-Boundary Waters champions, and that track record of having 37 of those candidates elected to the Minnesota legislature is proof of the political support that we have for the Prove It First bill and for protecting the boundary waters and Lake Superior from sulfide mining. And one of the things that we did during the political campaign through our Friends of the Boundary Waters Action Network is that we ran ads throughout social media to support those candidates. And I'm going to play one of those candidates one of those ads that we played right now. So here is that one of those ads.
the leaders who work for us, who stand up to the big polluters, who are brave enough to
And so just as all of us, people need the wilderness, the wilderness also needs it also needs people. I understand that the sound did not work in that video there. I'm sorry that was the case. I don't know why that was the case here. I may I may try to see if I can deal with that issue here right now. Let's see if I can do that. I do not see how to be able to bring that to you. I will, please feel free to reach out to me, and I can provide you with the YouTube link for that video.
just a moment.
And just as as I said, as all of us need the wilderness needs people, and ultimately all of you are the strength of protecting the boundary waters in the greater Quetico Superior ecosystem. As a nonprofit organization, Friends of the Boundary Waters Wilderness, our strength is the people, is all of our supporters, and we are so grateful as an organization to have hundreds and thousands of supporters for us, and we do not take all of you for granted. You are why we do what we do and can do what we do. I want to give a big shout out again to Midwest Mountaineering. I am inspired by Midwest Mountaineering. I'm inspired by the Expo. I know this year we have to do things a bit differently, and I look forward to a time when we can come together as a community at the Expo face to face here. Now we can't do that, but there will be a time when we get through this on the other side. Again, please support Midwest Mountaineering. Buy your winter gear there now. And I want to let you know that there's a special opportunity where you can help support Friends of the Boundary Waters Wilderness, and that is on Give to the Max Day. That is coming up next week on November 19th. And you can, that is Minnesota's special day of coordinating funding for nonprofit organizations such as Friends of the Boundary Waters Wilderness. And we have a $100,000 match. It's the largest match in the history of our organization. So that you can help unlock that match. If you contribute $30, your gift becomes $60. If you donate $15, it becomes $100. And if you were to give $500, your contribution becomes $1,000. And if you go to that link on the website at givemn.org/BWCA, you can make a donation right now that will count towards that match. So thank you so much. Again, you are the strength of Friends of the Boundary Waters Wilderness, and just as the wilderness needs people, or just as people need the wilderness needs people, and all of you, and you're the the key to successfully protecting the boundary waters for the next 40 years. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here, and I will entertain questions that all of you may have here. And so please let me know if there are any questions. You can put those in the chat button there if there are any questions out there. And so, Anat, are there any questions out there? Okay. Well, good deal. Why, I want to thank all, Midwest Mountaineering. I want to thank all of you for being here this evening, and thank you for being passionate about the Boundary Waters. Thank you for being passionate about the outdoors, and have a great outdoor adventures this winter and next summer during canoe season as well. So thank you so very, very much.